In a cozy little barn, nestled on a sprawling green farm, lived a wise old mother dog. She had a whole tumble of adorable pups, each one a little fluff ball of energy and mischief. Their days were filled with happy yaps, chasing butterflies, and wrestling with their siblings in the soft, warm hay. Life was perfect. The mother dog loved her pups more than anything, and like all good mothers, her top priority was keeping them safe. Every morning, she would gather them around and tell them about the big, wide world of the farm. She'd point out the grumpy old rooster who didn't like his tail feathers ruffled, the lazy cat who napped in the sunniest spots, and the big, gentle cows chewing their cud in the pasture. But there was one warning she repeated every single day, her voice serious and firm. "My dears," she'd say, nuzzling each one, "you can play anywhere your little paws take you, but you must promise me one thing. You must never, ever go near the old stone well at the edge of the meadow." The pups would all nod their heads, their floppy ears bouncing. They promised they would stay away. The well looked dark and mysterious, and their mother's serious tone was enough to keep most of them far from it. They had plenty of other places to explore. They could chase grasshoppers in the tall grass, dig for imaginary bones under the big oak tree, and try to catch the farmer's bootlaces when he walked by. The farm was a giant playground, and the well was just one small, forbidden spot. But you know how it is with puppies, and sometimes with people too. When you're told not to do something, it can sometimes make you even more curious. And in this particular litter, there was one little pup who was more curious than all his brothers and sisters combined. He had a twinkle in his eye and a spirit of adventure that was just a little bit bigger than his tiny body. While his siblings were content chasing their tails, he was always wondering what lay beyond the next fence post. And that old stone well, it fascinated him. Why was it so forbidden? What secrets did it hold? The more his mother warned him away, the more a little seed of curiosity grew in his heart. He'd watch it from a distance, a dark circle in the green field. It didn't look so scary. In fact, it looked rather interesting. He promised himself that one day, just one little peek wouldn't hurt. He just had to see what was so special about the old stone well. One bright, sunny afternoon, while the mother dog was taking a well-deserved nap in the shade of the barn and his siblings were busy with a game of tug-of-war, the curious little puppy saw his chance. His heart beat a little faster with a mix of excitement and a tiny bit of guilt. He knew he was breaking his promise, but his curiosity was just too strong to ignore. Tiptoeing away from the others, he made a beeline for the meadow, his nose twitching and his tail wagging with anticipation. He trotted across the soft grass, the world feeling bigger and more exciting now that he was on his own secret mission. As he got closer, the well loomed larger. It was made of old, mossy stones and had a low wall around it. It still didn't look dangerous. He crept up to the edge, his little paws making no sound. Standing on his hind legs, he carefully stretched his neck and peered over the stone wall, down into the darkness. And what do you think he saw? Deep down, staring right back at him from the still, dark water, was another puppy. This puppy looked exactly like him. It had the same floppy ears, the same curious eyes, and the same little black spot on its nose. The little pup was astonished. He had no idea another puppy lived down there. He gave a little, friendly woof as a greeting. To his surprise, The puppy in the well opened its mouth and woofed right back, without making a sound. This was interesting. The little pup tilted his head to one side, and the puppy in the well did the exact same thing at the exact same time. He wagged his tail, and the other puppy wagged its tail too. This was starting to get a little annoying. He wasn't trying to play a copycat game. He was trying to be friendly. He decided to be a bit more assertive. He let out a sharp, loud bark. Arf! Arf! The puppy in the well barked back silently, its face looking just as cross as his. Well, this was just rude. The little pup was now getting angry. He thought this other dog was mocking him, imitating his every move just to be mean. "Stop copying me," he barked, his fur bristling along his back. The dog in the well looked just as furious, its silent barks matching his own. That was it. This impudent pup needed to be taught a lesson. How dare he show up in this well and mock him? Blinded by his frustration and a surge of puppy pride, he forgot all about his mother's warning. He forgot about being careful. All he could think about was fighting this cheeky dog who was mimicking him. With a mighty growl and a determined leap, he jumped over the stone wall and plunged down into the well to confront his rival once and for all. Splash! The cold water shocked him. For a moment, he was completely submerged, disoriented and confused. He paddled his little paws frantically, finally getting his head above the surface, gasping for air. He looked around wildly for the other dog. Where was he? He was ready for a fight, but the well was empty, except for him. There was no other puppy. There was only the dark, shimmering water and the cold, slippery stone walls all around him. The truth dawned on him with a chilling splash. The other puppy, it had just been his own reflection. He had been barking at himself. He had been angry at himself. And he had jumped into a deep, dark well to fight himself. A wave of fear washed over him, far colder than the water. He was trapped. The stone walls were too high and too slick for him to climb. He was all alone, and it was getting dark. He started to bark, but this time, his barks weren't angry. They were filled with fear and regret. He yelped and cried, his voice echoing eerily around the stone cylinder. He thought of his warm mother and his playful siblings in the cozy barn. He wished with all his heart that he had listened. He wished he hadn't let his curiosity and his temper get the better of him. All he could do now was bark and hope someone would hear him. He barked and barked until his little throat was sore. Just as he was about to lose all hope, he heard a familiar voice calling his name. It was the farmer. The farmer had been doing his evening chores when he heard the faint, desperate yelps coming from the meadow. Following the sound, he found the terrified little pup paddling in the well. Quickly, the kind farmer lowered a bucket down, and the puppy, understanding immediately, scrambled inside. The farmer gently hoisted him up, out of the dark well and back into the safety of the grassy meadow. The little pup was shivering, soaking wet, and exhausted, but he had never been so happy in his entire life. He licked the farmer's hand gratefully, wagging his whole body. The farmer wrapped him in a warm cloth and carried him back to the barn, where his mother was pacing frantically, sick with worry. She nuzzled him and cleaned him, overjoyed to have her little one back safe and sound. From that day on, the little puppy was a changed dog. He was still playful and happy, but he was also a little bit wiser. He never went near the old stone well again. He had learned a very important lesson, the hard way. He learned to heed the warnings of those who are older and wiser, like his mother. Her rules weren't there to spoil his fun. They were there to protect him from dangers he couldn't yet understand. Sometimes, the best way to be brave is to be wise enough to listen. Thank you so much for watching with me today. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more tales and lessons from the farm. We'll see you in the next video.